So, just doing my morning news reading, a bit of whenever I wake up in the morning, just follow the algorithm, do a search, and then get lost down a rabbit hole until I'm awake enough to work. Or get stressed up from what the algorithm shows me and can't work, which has been happening for the last 5 days. But anyway, I'm sure that happens to some of you too if you get frustrated by all of the news you don't see, what you should be seeing, and the news you don't want to see, which is being rammed in your face. So anyway, octopus energy is the answer to a broken, inefficient market. Basically been looking at how companies pay other companies and NGOs and government institutions to affiliate with each other and create fake news or false impressions and influence human perception. So what is this? This is an article in Great Britain saying octopus energy is the answer to a broken, inefficient market. The British utility company is environmentally friendly and has a great customer service. Why can't they all be like this? This is a paid, on Wired, basically you pay to have an article like this. You write it yourself through a professional writer, submit it to them, pay them money, and they post it as if it's a news article. Yeah. Photograph octopus energy. So the photograph is given by the company. The person who wrote it obviously is paid by the company. Who are octopus? We'll get into that shortly, because the theme and the title of this video is that China is taking over and monopolizing the British electricity energy provision system, and that England has actually sold all its energy profits and the energy business to China. Or China have sneakily done it without the British government knowing. So I'm going to be sharing a link with this with the British government, because this ends with showing behind octopus and the connection between octopus and UK power networks, yeah, with Mr. Edison and Mr. Greg, can't remember his name, yeah, have made a company called UK Power Networks, which Octopus Energy is part of the scheme, who service most of they don't bill you for the power, they bill the British Power Electricity Board for their servicing of the cables and laying of the cables, because Great Britain doesn't do that. This company does, and it's Chinese owned. Not this company. This company makes the energy. The company, and well, I haven't looked into who owns Octopus yet and how they're affiliated, if they're affiliated with China. But definitely UK Power Networks, the disruptive utility transforming the energy sector. Yeah, for the benefit of all, leadership, innovation and contribution to the advancement of the electric industry for the benefit of all, yeah. UK Power Networks. Yeah. They have connected more than 700 high voltage and extra high voltage DHV generators and 164,000 LV generators to their network. Not their generators, but the generators can't work without the network. So they're covering this much of England in the moment. They haven't taken our whole country. Yeah. But anyway, I was led to that through reading this. So let's start where I started and finish with the fact that the UK electricity network is owned, UK power networks, sorry, which I won't play that. UK Power Networks ED2 business plan for the next 8 years. That's for the shareholders. And I won't be able to monetize it if I do click and play this. So I'm gonna just refresh the page actually. And No, I can't do it. I can't do it. So we're not going to do it because I won't be able to monetize the video. Or I should just skip monetizing it. I let them see it because it's a video made by these with the CEO, who's an Australian Italian, and I don't know why he's working. So here we have the partners, huh? All of these utilities: British Gas, Cadent, EDF, Electricity Northwest, yeah, Yambay, all of these, Power Networks Distribution, all of this. What is this? Their partners and collaborators. So I've got the list of their collaborators, all the guilty parties here. We'll look at who owns them, if they're Chinese owned or not. Or I will, because that's going to take days and weeks. Yeah? I could send this video to the International Consortium of Independent Journalists, who are very good at collaborating to investigate things. They did the Panama Papers and the Pandora Papers. Pandora's box opened, all the evil came out, yeah? And the Prime Minister of Finland had to resign. The Queen's even in it, having invested 10 million in money laundering in Bermuda for the Paradise Papers. So let's go back. Sea levels rising, blah, 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 blah. My experience, whose experience? Who wrote this? Who wrote this? Who wrote this? Who wrote this? Simon Hill. Let's just open in a new tab and see who Simon Hill is, and I'll investigate him as well. Because this is a paid placement. We'll let that load and read this. Greg Jackson, who is one of the two. This is how I found the UK Power Networks, because it's connected to Greg Jackson and one other person. A vision to make energy better, fairer and greener. He left school at 16 to code computer games, where he met James Edison. So what I did was a search for Greg Jackson and James Edison, Octopus Energy. Greg, what a name, huh? Edison, talking about electricity. And I found, of course, this, wired.com. And that Octopus is about, and Kraken Technologies. The CEO of Kraken Technologies is Greg Jackson, yeah. UK Power Networks Innovation. So you see, this came up, the UK Power Networks, yeah. Octopus on how to be one of the world's leading clean energy. They're selling as if they're answering a clean energy thing here, yeah. And I came across this UK Power Networks Innovation, and it's part of Octopus Group, yeah. It's Octopus Energy is still the best. Well, that's Octopus paid. Has Octopus Energy stopped trading? Has asked Octopus Energy to step in and look after Go Effortless's customers as the company have ceased trading. There's all sorts of weird stuff with this Octopus. Is Flow Energy now Octopus? Selling green energy, it's not green. This is really, really, really suspicious. Yeah? Because I came across, I thought, well, what is a search for Greg Jackson, James Edison and Octopus Energy do it, bringing this up for, yeah? Which of course brought up this. So let's do a search here for Octopus. Does it come up? 12 of 16. Where is octopus? It's brought up recycled paper. Yeah. So where is the word octopus? I've done a search for the word octopus, highlight all. 2 of 4 matches. So where are they? You cannot see them. You cannot see the word octopus on this paper, right? World Land Trusts are affiliated. So how come the word octopus is in this document and it's about, there's 1 of 4 matches, 2 of 4 matches, where is it? Here, there it is. Greg Jackson, CEO, Octopus Energy. The conclusion of ukpowernetworks.co.uk is written by Greg Jackson. Yeah, so let's do there is 1 of 1 match, yeah, which is here. Yeah, Greg Jackson. What was the other fellow's name? James Edison, was it? James Edison. I wonder if he's related to the evil Edison who put Nikola Tesla out of business and claimed to have invented lots of things that actually his employees invented. Phrase not found. So Edison's not mentioned. Jackson is obviously the guy who's gonna go to prison if he gets caught doing whatever he's doing. So anyway, this is a paid article by Simon Hill to promote Octopus Energy, yeah, and that Greg Jackson is obviously affiliated enough with UK Power Networks, yeah, and this is the UK Power Networks message from our CEO, which I opened here on YouTube here, Basil Scarsella, and he's Australian. He's Australian, but with a name like Scarsella and a face like that, looks like a mafia king, and that really does look like something out of Casino or Good Boys. This guy, yeah. Even his choice of suit and tie, to be honest, it's not as executive as it is mafia. It's very Italian, and haven't looked who Basil Scarsella is, yeah. But UK Power Networks ED2 business plan for the next 8 years is to the stakeholders, yeah? It's to the stakeholders, which is why it's only had 538 views, because it's not listed, but it's inserted in here. It's not listed publicly on YouTube, but if you find the link, you can watch it. It's not locked or private. It's not a private link, it's an unlisted link. I know, because I can upload my YouTubes in all 3 ways: public, unlisted, or private. Unlisted means if you know the name, the title of it, or somebody gives you the link, you can watch it. If it's private, you can't. Only family members can. So this is the 2023 to 2028, sorry, business plan, yeah. And got 6,200 employees and the supply chain partners. So they also subcontract, yeah. And UK Power Networks, basically what they do is change cables and set up the infrastructure. They're the infrastructure, yeah. So they're doing it all for the government, yeah. And they're claiming wind and solar projects, but as if they're the people who are providing the energy lines to people and the government's providing the electricity. Yeah, they say we do not send your electricity bill. We look after your electricity. Yeah? This is the executive summary. Yeah? And it's as if it's being ecological. Yeah? So they're going to sell ecological, which is why they are building this. It's a British utility company called Octopus, and they're paying people, yeah, like Simon Hill from Wired, who writes this, and he's paid to write this, believe me. I'm a blogger. I don't accept paid blogging because it's fake news. People do ask me to write blogs for them, but this guy's, look at all this, what he writes about, as if he knows about everything, but it's mostly about tech, mobile, Google Play, mobile controllers, screens, all, medication reminders for your phone, but nothing to do with medicine, podcasts, best, how to block spam calls, how to share your Wi-Fi password, what is Apple Arcade, should you subscribe? Well, Wired. Is it going to be objective or paid? The 13 top new features in Android, the best ebook subscription, ads are taking over streaming and I can't afford to look away, power up anywhere with the best travel adapters, wise video doorbell, how to spot fake reviews on Amazon, the best Wi-Fi routers, and all of a sudden, something completely out of context, what he's not interested in or blogs about at all, because Wired is more about Android and yeah, it's about future technologies, but this guy, that's not his specialty, Simon Hill. Been writing about tech, yeah, but what do you know about energy? You've been writing about mobile tech and software and stuff, yeah? So, Octopus, this is the only thing he's wrote about this. Yeah, so Octopus CTO James Edison and Jackson, yeah, Edison is to become Octopus CTO, which is a umbrella company for other shell companies, and most definitely connected with UK power networks, yeah? And they want net zero. Well, do they really? It would be good if they did, wouldn't it? So what's worrying about this? They've got here, why should I be worried? Data is king. Well, that definitely worries me, because data judges humanity and data doesn't have a soul. And data creates second-class and third-class citizens and different credit ratings, depending on how often you charge your Android phone or not, or if it's on low charge all the time, you have a low credit rating. If it's on high charge all the time, then you get a credit card. If it's always below 60% charge, they assume that you're poor, and because they've seen people who don't charge their phones above, don't keep their phones between 60 and 80% full all the time, who are less than that, are not creditworthy according to their statistics. So that word frightens me. Data is king. But this doesn't frighten me, apart from the fact that to build these solar panels actually has a very large carbon footprint. With the industries need to make the solar panels, it's almost as bad as the petroleum industry. Plus the fact that these panels, what they sell to you on the public marketplace, only last about 10 years. Yeah? Are they biodegradable when you have to throw them away and buy a new one? Because they have a limited lifespan built into them, in the same old corporate way of selling the light bulb that could last for 1,000 years but make it pop and blow up after 3 months. If not, you're not going to go back and buy another one, are you? So anyway, why should I be angry at this green energy thing, which is better than burning coal? Oh, I'm not angry at it. What I am is suspicious that who owns it, and that it's connected with the UK power networks, who have already taken over control of this part of England, and the fact that UK power networks ownership is by Hong Kong Infrastructure Holdings on 40%, Power Assets Holdings 40%, and the Ka-Shing Foundation 20%. So the only one that sounds not Chinese is this one. The other two are Chinese for sure. So that's definitely the first thing I'm going to investigate. Hong Kong Electricity. There you go. Chinese, yeah. Power Assets Holdings. Power Assets Holdings, Chinese. Formerly Hong Kong Electric Holdings Limited, right? Okay. Oh, look at this, look at this. And it has shareholdings in the following business: SA Power, Northern Gas, UK Power Networks. You see? It has a 40% holding. Wales and West Utilities, oh my God. You see, just by looking at UK Power Networks, I made the assumption that, I made the assumption that, where's the map? They'd taken over only this much so far. But once you start digging deeper and find out that their shareholders, Octopus Energy, was owned by Power Assets Holdings, yeah? Okay? Power Assets Holdings. And then we see that Power Assets Holdings has a stake in Wales and West Utilities, which is the gas distribution network. We're not talking about electricity now, we're talking about gas. Across Wales and southwest England in the United Kingdom, and provides the gas emergency service. Now, you know, Russia just cut off their gas line to Europe. Ukraine have just opened a gas line, yeah? And here we have China involved. This is a Chinese company owning 30% of Wales and West Utilities. So who owns Wales and West Utilities? Who owns West and Wales Utilities? Yeah. C.K. Hutchinson. So let's have a look now here. Is C.K. Hutchinson here? No. There's a connection for sure. If you dig deep enough, Wales and West Utilities. Yeah, let's go here. Macquarie European Infrastructure Fund. Operational basis in Wales and West Utilities. Look at the orange and brown. Look at the colours. Look at the colours of Wales and West Utilities. Yeah? C.K. Hutchinson. It's a Hong Kong based in Cayman Islands. Cayman Islands came up in the Pandora Papers. And the Prime Minister of Finland the Queen got caught, President of Finland got caught, the Clintons got caught, how many others got caught, I don't know. Politicians and Donald Trump got caught, all laundering money in Bermuda and the Cayman Islands through the Accenture and the Schinken legal mechanism from the Netherlands to launder tax-free money. So C.K. Hutchinson is a Hong Kong and Cayman Islands registered multinational conglomerate corporation, yeah? C.K. Hutchinson, yeah? Hutchinson Acer, Indosat, Hong Kong. It's China hiding themselves through Hong Kong, yeah? In retail, look, they own Watson's, the perfume shop, Kruidvat. They're in Indonesia, Superdrug, Park and Shop. In Watson's. It's a Hong Kong healthcare and beauty chain in Asia and Europe, yeah? Dutch retail pharmacy. Health and beauty, yeah? The Tom Group. Chinese language media company in the Greater China region. So they're not Hong Kongian, they are for Communist China. CK Life Sciences, CK Hutchinson, commercialization, marketing and sale of biotech products, yeah, like COVID. HutchMed, medical, huh? HutchMed. Hutchinson Water, so they want to like poison our water or what? Cenovus Energy, oil and natural gas company headquartered in Alberta. And as you see, Power Assets Holdings, also connected, also has the Canadian Power Holdings Incorporated, which doesn't exist on Wikipedia. Husky Midstream, probably Canadian. The Jinwan Power Plant, where's that? And the Dali and Lauting wind farms in China. Wales and West Utilities, UK Power Networks, City Power, Ratchaburi Power Limited Thailand, 25% stake with Ratchaburi Power Company. I'm in Thailand. Powercore Australia. Now we know why this Italian mafioso, Australian, Basil Scarsella, and Powercore Australia, Powercore Australia, Powercore Australia. There you go, Powercore Australia. It's by the Chung Kong Holdings, yeah, who runs the electricity network in UK. Chung Kong Infrastructure Holdings, yeah, and Powercore is also owned by Chung Kong Holdings, yeah, and this is the bloody CEO connected with Powercore. Australia is owned, yeah, by Power Assets. Powercore Australia is owned by Power Assets Holdings, which is all owned, and this also, which is all owned, yeah, UK Power Networks, yeah. If you look at the colors of, I'll just bring, I cannot. If you look, how can I get to, let's go back here. The colors, if you see any of their people, here, look at the colors here. Brown, orange, red, right? Brown, orange, red. Now, where did we see brown, orange, red just now? I can't, where were we? Do you remember me saying, notice, look at the brown, orange, red? Where was that? Where was that? It wasn't Powercore. It was another of these companies connected. And it had exactly the same as these colours, using the same colours. Was it the Australian one or Wales and West Utilities? Wales and West Utilities, yeah. It was the Wales and West Utilities. It was the Wales and West Utilities. I'm sure it was Wales and West Utilities. Which means they've taken over, yeah, same colours, look, brown and black and orange, yeah. Let's do some images, Wales and West Utilities. Okay, here you got Wales and West Utilities and UK Power Networks, yeah. Wales and West Utilities, UK, and both are owned by, hang on, UK Power Networks. You can see there's a very similar, they're not exactly the same of course, but they're using orange, yeah, and maroon here. Here they're using orange and black, okay? You see a connection? I do, especially here. the brown to orange fade and the brown to orange fade. They've used the same logo making company. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that the brown and red has any kind of meaning. What it means is the same company who made this logo made this logo, because Wales and West Utilities, who owns, we know who owns Chung, or what his name is, yeah? C.K. Hutchinson, yeah? And who owns C.K. Hutchinson? Ka-Shing, yeah? Lee is the chairman of C.K. Hutchinson, yeah? So this is one of the guys on the blacklist who is buying and controlling British electricity, because British Electricity Board has now been sold to China, because UK Power Networks, the Welsh network, C.K. Hutchinson, it's all hidden under C.K. Hutchinson and Power Core Australia, huh? Power Core Australia, huh? Is one of the small companies owned by Hong Kong Holdings. So let's have a look at Hong Kong, what they own. Power Assets Holdings, yeah, which is what's working in Britain. So they've now taken Hong Kong Infrastructure. Let's have a look. Northern Gas Networks, Northumbrian Water Group, Seabank Power Station in Britain, Southern Water, Wales and West Utilities, UK Power Networks, and the UK Rails Group. They're taking over British Rail as well. In Australia, China is already, don't forget, this is China using what you call bang na in Thai, which means hide your face behind somebody else as an intermediary. They're using the free trade zone of Hong Kong to set up shell companies, just like Accenture of the Bilderberg 500 and the World Economic Forum are teaching elite multinational companies to hide their money and make themselves impossible to be charged as stakeholders or have their assets taken using a legal mechanism called the Schengen mechanism. Schengen, but not with a K. Schengen method, yeah? Which is in Antwerp, I believe, or near Antwerp in the Netherlands, somewhere around there, which is Train Place, Antwerp anyway. And Accenture is basically a PO box in a rented office, and it's empty, but it claims to be part of the World Economic Forum's new plan to change the economy of the world by 2030. Through advising companies how to launder their money and hide it, basically, in Bermuda. So anyway, this CK Infrastructure Holdings and, what was it, CK Hutchinson Holdings, CK Infrastructure, and, what was it, Chung, I'm losing, it goes so deep, right? The Hong Kong Infrastructure Holdings Company, CK Infrastructure. So now we know that CK Hutchinson Holdings, CK means Hong Kong, yeah? And it's Hong Kong and Cayman Islands money laundering based. And it's a main associate company, Hutchinson Whampoa. Look how many Hong Kong shell companies they're making, yeah, acquired and merged with by Hong Kong Holdings, successor CK Hutchinson Holdings. Yeah, but it's all owned by somebody called Mr. Lee. Who owns Hong Kong? Under Colonel Sir Douglas Clegg, well, it was British run by then. It was rescued by the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation. 79, at the close of trade in London, it sold its stake to Hong Kong. It sold itself to itself. So it's like if I own a company called Hutchinson One Power, and I have another company called CK Hutchinson, yeah, which is Cheung Kong. So what it was doing was Hutchinson, HCSB sold its stake in Hutchinson One Power to Cheung Kong. That was on 1979. I'll tell you why. It's because HSCB was coming under pressure for money laundering at that time, for not for the last time, it still does. So it was probably avoiding culpability by selling its stakes back to Cheung Kong, who owned it anyway. This is the one. The name Cheung Kong and the name Lee. The name L-I, Lee. Lee, what's his name? So anyway, what we can surmise is that Mr. Simon Hill, who wrote this Octopus Energy, saying my opinion is like this, he's an influencer, and previously only wrote about Android devices and software on Wired, yeah, was provided with a beautiful photo from Octopus themselves, so they obviously knew he was writing. So you need to ask for permission to use the photo on a website like Wired. If not, you get sued in America. Wired is a registered company, not an anarchist kid on the internet who doesn't give a shit. They have lawyers and everything. So this is all, I can see this, the way this is written, it is a paid article. My experience with energy suppliers in the United Kingdom for the past 2 decades has been depressing. Excuse me, but Simon Hill has never been to Britain, I bet. I bet he's an American. Simon Hill, Wired. Let's find out who Simon Hill is, because we're going to find out now. We're going to social engineer if he is ducking lying, because what he's doing is pushing Octopus, so people believe in Octopus, so that the UK Power Network, the UK Power Networks.co.uk, we own and maintain electricity cables and lines across London, the south east and east of England. You also own the west of England, but under the name of a different company called the Wales blah blah. But it's also part of Cheung Kong Holdings, mate. But you're claiming that just the southeast and the east. No, you're moving around the whole of England. Selling England by the pound, like the band Genesis said. And they took it from somewhere else because it's an old saying. Selling England by the pound. They're selling England by the Chinese yuan. Yeah? Read our business plan. That takes you here. You know, that takes you... it doesn't. It takes you here. With this video from this Italian-Australian mafia, who is a CEO of a company that belongs to Ka-Shing. Now let's find out, what's this? Ka-Shing. Why is... let's go back. I just saw something else about the main shareholders. Ka-Shing, company stakeholder. $36 billion revenue. Profits 4.3 billion. Chinese money from England, from the British Electricity Board. Thank you, Great Britain, for selling England by the pound. Not Boris Johnson, because he's out today. This is the day that Boris Johnson is out, and we have a new Prime Minister who will be just as full of BS, just as connected with these corrupt people, and we'll continue. Number 37 in the 2022 billionaires list, Ka-Shing. Ka-Shing is buying England by the yuan. He's buying up all the energy in England, which is probably why somebody's convinced somebody to turn the gas back on in the Ukraine to funnel to England, because they're not getting it from Russia. So it looks like China and the UK have come to some kind of agreement in order to circumvent Russia's attempts to strangle Europe's gas supply and power supply. So he's a senior advisor of CK Hutchinson Holdings. He's not. He's the bloody owner of all of those shell companies. Not just CK Hutchinson, but Hutchinson Whampoa and CK Infrastructure and Northern Gas Networks in the United Kingdom and Northumbrian Water Group. Water as well, you asshole. It's a holding company for several companies. You see, it's a shell company, an umbrella company. And what are its other companies? Huh? Hartlepool, Newcastle, Sunderland and South Shields, yeah? Two further SWCs, Essex and Suffolk. And then they merged it together in 1994 into the Essex and Suffolk Water. So this was happening even New Zealand. If you're a Kiwi, look, they're selling New Zealand. Australia is being sold to China. China is buying everything. Hong Kong, of course. Yeah. Chairman, Victor Lee. This is the guy. Is it? Is it? No. Li Ka-Shing is a senior advisor. Victor Lee, Tsar Koi. He's a Tsar? In Deepwater Bay. St. Paul's Kuwait. This sounds like a Russian Chinese. Civil engineering. Doctor of Laws. So he's a judge and a lawyer. He's an honorary degree. Honoris Causa LLD from the University of Western Ontario. There we see the Canadian connection. Victor Lee was kidnapped, yeah, by a notorious gangster, big spender. Well, maybe he was. He paid a ransom. Well, good on you, big spender. You should have just put a... Well, I better not say it, because I'm putting this on... But you know what he should have done, then we wouldn't have this problem today. Directly to Chung, who come to Ling Ka-Shing's house. He was released after one night. A report was never filed with Hong Kong police. Instead, the case was pursued by mainland authorities. Now, you see, this is not Hong Kong. This is mainland China. Yeah, Li Ka-Shing was abducted. Why was China communist mainland so caring about that they was actually willing to pay for the investigation into the abduction of Li Ka-Shing, yeah, which led to Big Spender's execution in 1998, and an outcome not possible under Hong Kong law. Rumours circulated of a deal between Li Ka-Shing and the mainland. There's more than just a deal. There's a connection. He's a Chinese communist sympathizer spy in Hong Kong, taking Hong Kong money, pretending to be a capitalist, and he's working for China. Power Assets Holdings. CK Life Sciences, oh my God. And it's a subsidiary of CK Hutchinson, yeah. Anything with CK, yeah. CK. Hang on, Victor Lee Sarkoi. Where's his photo? Where his photo compared to Li Ka-Shing? Let's have a photo. No, not the same guy. But look who he's talking to! Li Ka-Shing's eldest son, Victor Lee. It's Li Ka-Shing's son. 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 Oh my God. He's in Zoom. He's listening in on everybody. That is Li Ka-Shing. Steps up family transition. Nikkei. He's got his feet in Nikkei as well. Huh? Li Ka-Shing and Victor Ka-Shing are the owners of Hong Kong Infrastructure Holdings, 40%, 40% of Power Assets Holdings, which is owned by Hong Kong, yeah, CK, yeah. They also own 20% of the Li Ka-Shing Foundation, yeah. And Li Ka-Shing is this guy. So Li Ka-Shing owns 40%. He's in, this is, I'm going to send this to the International Consortium of independent journalists, because I'm just one person and look how much of a rabbit hole we're going down now. I have ADHD. I hope people are following my bunny hops from one thing to the other. Yeah. These things by Google are great. EDF Energy. Shall we go further down? If Li Ka-Shing's behind that as well, CK Holdings and Li Ka-Shing and Victor Shing, who was kidnapped and got mainland China to pay for his Hong Kong kidnapping investigation so he could get the death sentence for his kidnapper instead of a life sentence in Hong Kong. So they have China mainland contacts so high that they can get the government to pay for the investigation. So, who took over EDF Energy? Octopus Group! So we go full circle back to Mr. Simon Hill's article about Octopus Energy. And round it goes, the spider's web. China's second empire. There's a video called The Spider's Web, Britain's Second Empire. Watch it on YouTube. It shows you, same as the Pandora Papers, how everything's been controlled by elite and laundered in Bermuda and Cayman Islands. And I knew about 27, or there's about 60 places in the world which are tax-free havens. So anyway, what just happened now? We went even into EDF Energy. We went into the kidnapping of Li Ka-Shing because he owned another company that's related, and then find out that he is the elder son, of Victor Ka-Shing, yeah, and the CK Hutchinson Holdings and the Hong Kong Holdings, all Hong Kong and Cayman Island based, and all based on something called Hong Kong. Yeah, I'm just going to write Hong Kong because we're seeing Victor Li Tsar. Why has he got the name Tsar? I don't know. Because Victor Li Tsar Victor Li Tsar Kuei is the owner of CK Hutchinson Holdings, and he is the son. And CK Hutchinson Holdings holds many companies, including UK Power Networks and the Welsh Power Network and the water supply and some northern networks. They're not in Scotland yet. Yeah. And EDF Energy is owned by Octopus. And who owns Octopus? It's owned by the Octopus Group, which is a certified B Corp. Octopus Energies Group. So, who owns Octopus Energy? There we go. So let's have a look. British Fund Management Company, a British asset management company which has operations in the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Japan, New Zealand and the United States. Wide range of business divisions: energy retail, energy for business, energy services, electric vehicles, energy generation, octopus hydrogen gas. Kraken, that's the other name that came up in my investigation before I started screencasting with the Cheung Kong, and the not-for-profit Centre for Net Zero. So they're using net zero, but is really that their intention? Is this philanthropy or charity to, like in the way that a politician holds a baby, do a charity to buy yourself power and connections, which is what philanthropy is all about, which is why the rich and powerful elite are the ones who do it, like Bill Gates. The company also supplies software services to other energy suppliers. Established in 2015. Greg Jackson! Greg Jackson! Here he is. Greg Jackson, and Greg Jackson, of course, is, as I said, mentioned in here. He's mentioned right here, but not in Octopus. He's from Octopus, yeah, but he's mentioned in the UK Power Networks. So he doesn't work in UK Power Networks, he works in another company, but both UK Power with Octopus, but both Octopus, UK Power Networks, and all the rest, yeah, are owned by the CK Cheung Kong list of umbrella and shell companies. This is in the Greater China region, the Tom Group. So how are they working in the Greater China? The largest publicly listed infrastructure company in Hong Kong, CK Hutchinson, Power Assets Holdings, yeah, which is what owns the British energy business. This is absolutely terrible. Whether they are being eco-friendly or not, I don't believe, but even if they are, this all started with me in the morning, not even had my coffee, just reading an article on Wired. Octopus Energy is the answer to a broken, efficient market. As soon as I saw this, why did he write it here? My experience with energy suppliers in the United Kingdom for the past 2 decades. So who is Simon Hill? Let's see if he's British, huh? Let's just find out who he is. He looks British. No, he's American. Oh, he was at Edinburgh University. VIS Entertainment. Hang on, 2002, VIS Entertainment. Was it in Britain? Or was he back in America? British video game developer. Okay. So he was in Britain. He was in Britain. What's his name? Simon Hill. So he was there till 2002. Wired, giving him one of my most reliable writers. Solid research. Yeah, well, he hasn't researched that the octopus that he was writing for is actually a shell company hiding the fact that China is buying up all of the energy companies in Great Britain, in England, Wales, and around the world, in New Zealand, Australia, and elsewhere, yeah? And so, really, well, let's see all services. Let's see what he does. Well, I'm going to send him a link to this. Editing, proofreading, and localization. I have a friend who's an editor. Basically, people pay you and you write. He does ghostwriting. So he just ghost wrote the thing about octopus. Website copy, mobile apps and games. Oh ho. Doing a bit of everything like me. Well, good luck to you, mate. But well, he's basically, I wouldn't blame him. He needs to make his money. He's an American, and he studied in England in the early 2000s. Where he is now, who knows? There's Greg Jackson. Take a screenshot of that face and give it to Raymond Reddington for his blacklist. His investments. Marketing climate change. Investing in electricity generation. He's trying to basically get the monopoly on gas and electricity supply. Keep his hold on it when it changes to solar and renewable by building octopus renewable energy stations for when they can then offer to take over not just serving the cables and the infrastructure, but also providing the energy. Because in the moment, they're only providing some energy, and Britain's making its own still a bit, and they're doing the infrastructure. Comes from licensing their proprietary management system called Kraken. Here it comes up again. Kraken. What? I've heard of that. Have you heard of Kraken? So they got their hands in this as well. Oh my God. It's a bloody Bitcoin. Jesus. You know, if Bitcoin was so good, just to finish with this, if I invented Kraken Bitcoin and it's so good, it's better than real money, right? I'm telling you, I invented it. I'm marketing it to you now. If it's so good and so much better than fiat, F-I-A-T currency, meaning dollars, euros, the currency the monetary system, how come Kraken, yeah, is willing to take shit poopy old dollars for their wonderful Kraken crypto? How come they prefer dollars when they're telling us crypto is better? But they're not taking crypto, they're taking dollars. So when you buy crypto from the crypto sellers, they want dollars. Can't you see the scam right there? How come the people who sell crypto prefer dollars? Right? So anyway, here we go. He is Simon Hill, no, VIS, sorry, Entertainment. I've lost it. They're involved in crypto. They're involved in crypto. Octopus also got shell companies involved in crypto. And the guy behind it all now is this guy. He's a Hong Kong businessman and co-group managing director of CK Hutchinson Holdings and CK Asset Holdings, and the chairman of CK Infrastructure Holdings, and is the elder son of tycoon Lee Ka-Shing and the brother of Richard Lee. That's the other guy. The Triads. This is the Triad. And philanthropist. Yeah. Philanthropy is always buying power. If you really want to do charity, you buy some food and give it to a starving kid, your hand to his mouth. If you give it to one of these people who raise charities and say they've donated 3 billion, you look what happened to the Haiti funds. 1% of the money that was given of the, I don't know how, $20 million or $200 million, I can't remember how much it was, and 60 reached the people who needed it. The rest was all taken in commissions. If you did a $50 donation by SMS in America, There was a $5 charge by the telephone company, deducts that, and then they would send it on through a bank to Haiti, and they would deduct 10%, and then the middleman who then cashes it out to say he's going to go buy the things the Haitians need takes his cut, and then he takes the clothes they were going to give to the poor people and sells them on the market like they do here in Thailand. All of the UNESCO clothes they give for the poor people in Cambodia, you can buy on the Thailand-Cambodian border on a market. Very cheap second-hand clothes. It never gets to the people who need it. So, philanthropist. Richard Lee Tsar Kai. Yeah. Richard Lee Tsar Kai is a Hong Kong businessman. And Victor Lee Tsar Koi. And how come this is Tsar Kai? Well, it's a spelling. Tsar Koi, different people wrote it and spelled it different. Yeah? And they're both the son of, the brothers of, or son of Li Ka-Shing, is it? Is this the dad? Has to be the dad. This is the dad, yeah. So, father, rated, I don't know how rich in the world of the billionaire list, 200 or something. Owns all of these Hong Kong power assets, owns the British power, Australia, New Zealand power, the gas, the railways, all under different companies, but they're all connected, yeah? And then this Greg guy comes up at the end, and we end up back at Octopus Energy, right? So Octopus Energy is just one of many hundreds of shell companies, and this article is one of many thousands of paid articles to bury anything that goes against or this agenda of China, selling England by the pound, New Zealand and Australia and Canada by the pound, and that China is going to own all of the energy in these countries by secretly buying it up and incepting itself and affiliating itself with the government until they can take over the power stations. They've taken over the infrastructure of the power delivery, transportation. They don't do the billing, the government does, but they bill the government. So how are the government making any money anymore on their power generation from what CK Holdings is charging them? Because even if they are, with this power plant from CK Holdings, it's not Octopus. Octopus is just a sub-thing of CK Holdings. So everything we look at, yeah, EDF Energy is part of Octopus Group, yeah? And the CEO of Octopus Group, we came to EDF because of the Chen Kongs and Victor Lee Tsar and Richard Lee and Li Ka-Shing. That's how we ended up with EDF Energy, because they hold something in EDF. And then we find EDF is part of Octopus Group. And then we find that that Chen Kong owns UK Power Networks, and in UK Power Networks, and Octopus owns EDF, and that Greg Jackson from Octopus, which also owns EDF, has got a free write-up through his affiliation with Li Ka-Shing, Victor Lee Tsar, and Richard Lee of the CK Holdings, who own the UK Power Networks. This Greg guy owns the Octopus Energy power plant and paid Simon Hill to write about it. But he's also in cahoots with UK Power Networks and also owns the Octopus Group. Well, he's the CEO of Octopus, yeah, which also, do you get the point or not? EDF becomes part of Octopus, yeah, and EDF Holdings was part of these, one of these, yeah. was part of these, yeah? Hong Kong property, restructuring, and separately listed company. You see, they keep listing the company separately to avoid taxes, yeah? Purchased the shares in Hutchison One Power that it did not already own and merged the companies under a new single company, C.K. Hutchison Holdings. The new company was 18th of March 2015, based in the Cayman Islands, but listed in Hong Kong. So they can't have their assets seized. They can't have, even if they do wrong, they cannot have their assets seized. Hutchison One Power on 3rd of June 2015, the same day that a new company comprising the existing assets, they began to trade, stock market trading, and to buy power. It operates mobile telephone services under the 3 brand in 10 countries, inherited from Hutchison One Power. Oh my God, CK Hutchison's telecommunications subsidiaries in Hong Kong and Australia are listed companies, and this company holds 66 and 87% stakes in these majority stake. They own it. They can do what they want. And the chairman is Victor Lee Sa-Koi, yeah? It's the largest diversified infrastructure company on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Yeah. Power Assets Holdings. It's an electric utility. So they use this to take over the electricity energy infrastructure of other countries and then build power plants so that they can eventually also take over the power provision. Selling England, Australia, New Zealand, Canada and other countries by the pound to China through shell companies set up through Chinese billionaire participants in Hong Kong. Research and development, commercialization, marketing and sale of biotech products. Human health and environmental sustainability. This is an attempt to control the world like many of these elite do. Yeah. This is terrible. And what was the one thing I wanted to click on here was... No, it's not in here. The three. Where did you see the 3? Well, never mind. We've gone far enough down the rabbit hole. This is the Hong Kong Center. The whole building is theirs. You think Trump is rich? Forget it. This family here, Li Ka-Shing, Richard Lee, is revered as one of the most influential businessmen in Asia. He's retired. He retired, yeah, but remains senior advisor, which means he didn't retire. He's just bringing his son in. His son Victor, and his name is Victor, yeah, which is Richard Lee Sa-Kai. That's Richard, and he is, doesn't say he's a little brother, son of businessman Lee. He's the son of Li Ka-Shing, and his older brother is Victor. Now Victor is a Russian name. Is this just a wrong spelling of a Chinese word? Cha, maybe cha. It has to be. Don't tell me that's Russian. He was kidnapped. Yeah, what about his mum? Who is Li Ka-Shing's wife? Chong Yuet Ming. Li Ka-Shing family. The richest man in Asia, 31.9 billion. Hutchison One Power. Hutchison, very Australian sounding, huh? Li Yun is his father. Originated from China, not Hong Kong. Fled from China to Hong Kong, okay. Li Ka-Shing's mother was Suang Bi-king, a strong pillar of support to the family. This is their own website, obvious. No, celebfamily.com, sorry. Li Ka-Shing wife. This is who I wanted to know. Choi Hoi Ming. Chow Hoi Ming. Chow Hoi Ming. I'm Thai, so I would read Chao Hoi, which means to rent seashells. Li Ka-Shing word is maternal uncle's daughter. Bloody incest as well. Victor Lee and Richard Lee, who we've studied. She died in 1990 in her apartment. It is believed she died because of an overdose of sleeping pills. So, bit of suspicion there for the International Consortium of Independent Journalists to look is, did she really pass away from an overdose of sleeping pills in her apartment? The wife of such a rich and powerful family, there would usually be suspicion to investigate further. As the Qing family followed Buddhist traditions, Chong Yue-ming was buried undertaking the same traditions. What that means is that she was incinerated, she was cremated, which means there can be no autopsies done to check if she really did take an overdose of... Why would she take an overdose of sleeping pills? Not happy with life? Well, with all those riches, if she wasn't happy with life, I don't know. She took an overdose of sleeping pills in 1990. Richard Lee Shing, what's this? Li Ka-Shing, daughters-in-law. Wife of Victor Lee, Wong Lai Koi. Ethan Lee, twin sons. Year 2011. Lian Ning, daughter. Name unknown, daughter. Name unknown, son. Why is the name unknown? Why is the name unknown? Richard Lee acquired a Canadian citizenship. That's how he's getting the Canadian power theft. Stealing Canada's energy money. Supply and infrastructure of gas and electricity. And will take over and own the sustainable energy when it's incited, when it is instigated, when it comes into effect, because they're already building solar plants. Isabella Leong, I'm given to the first chime, named Ethan Lee. Oh, that's why they say name unknown. The couple split in 2011. So, for the International Consortium of Journalists, this would be good to approach Isabella Leong, who's probably not happy with Richard Lee, to see if she is willing to expose anything we might want to know that might be a bit funny. Because they're actually buying up all of the Western energy control, which means they can China can switch us off. If these are in with the Chinese government, and did this lady really die from an overdose? Li Ka-Shing, Choi Hoi-ming. Was Choi Hoi-ming, just before we go, was Choi Hoi-ming murdered? I shouldn't really search this. Well, I'm not signed into Google, but... Somebody chopped them. Advisors for dinner chopped them up. Ho Choi Hoi-ming. Overdose. No, this is pretty... That's really weird. What the heck? This really funny. Wife of... Been suppressed, huh? It's been suppressed. I'll be listening to that. Tomb Raiders target the bones. Yeah, because that was the only thing remaining from a cremation. Two mainline Chinese brothers, hired probably by this dude, told the Hong Kong court, oh, this time he allowed it in the Hong Kong court, but when his son was kidnapped, he got the China mainland to prosecute for a death sentence. But these guys who plunder the grave of his late wife, he does not have given the death sentence by being investigated by the Chinese mainland. Is that because he paid them to get rid of the remaining DNA evidence? A failed bid to blackmail him. The first one, they did blackmail him, got the money, so he got the Chinese government to investigate instead of the Hong Kong ones, to catch them, and give them a death sentence instead of the Hong Kong ruling, which would not have allowed a death sentence when his son was kidnapped. But when his wife allegedly died from an overdose, and he obviously still loves her as much as he loved his son, that much that he got the Chinese mainland to investigate so that the criminals could get death sentence, which wasn't possible in Hong Kong. He doesn't do that with the grave robbing of his own wife, who he loves, and that must have really bothered you. That's really disturbing, as much as your son being kidnapped. He doesn't insist that they get the... And they were mainlanders as well. They were Chinese. So they could have been prosecuted straight away in China, yeah? And faced several charges, including blackmail and criminal damage. The two brothers, surnamed Lau, they hatched a plan with 6 others. And the bid to blackmail him was failed. Now, that's suspicious. He didn't get the money. He didn't pay the money. He didn't pay the money. But for his son, he did. And he didn't insist on China mainland prosecuting to give death sentence, like he did with his son. He just let the Hong Kong police do it. At a Buddhist cemetery on Hong Kong Island. They were probably looking for DNA evidence, not to blackmail him, which is why they said it failed, because they probably never tried to blackmail him. A cemetery caretaker and his wife discovered them. They attacked him with meat cleavers, robbing them of the mobile phones and raiding their office of $50,000. The gang then fled. That's because they weren't going to get the money from him, in my opinion. I don't know. But this guy paid them to dig up the bones and get rid of them in case somebody suspects that she did not die of an overdose of sleeping pills, and that he had something to do with her passing, his wife's passing. To get rid of the evidence. Go dig up the grave and get rid of the bones, man. Bring them to me. Yeah? Who passed in 1990, was found prized open with 2 boxes of digging tools. The bones had not been disturbed. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, there's something suspicious there. Somebody trying to rob the grave of him to blackmail him? I think somebody trying to rob the grave to test. But seeing as the bones are still there, then maybe the International Consortium of Independent Journalists can add that to their list of suspicious things. But definitely, I'll share this with Vice TV as well, because it does show how the point of this is Ka-Shing, Victor Lee Ta Kuai, and his younger brother Richard Lee, yeah, through Chen Kong Holdings and its subsidiaries and its octopus affiliation, yeah, written about by Simon Hill, is taking over things like the UK power networks and the Wales power networks, yeah, and Canadian and New Zealand and Australian. And if I look further, we've found out, what does Hong Kong Holdings own again? Electric company, Hutchinson 3G, Hong Kong Infrastructure Holdings, which owns the Northern Gas Networks, Northumbrian Water Group, which probably also own others. Is the British company? No, it's not. It's a Chinese company now, mate. They hold at least 50% share. CK, Hong Kong-based, Cayman Island Bank-based company, owned by Lee Ka-Shing family, yeah, by Richard Lee and Victor Lee and Lee Ka-Shing, their father, own Northern Gas Network because they have more than the 50%. So they say it's a British company owned by Chinese people, yeah. Distributing gas to homes across Yorkshire, the North East, North Cumbria, England. Northern Gas Networks Limited is one of 8 gas distribution networks in the United Kingdom. Look at the other 7, and I bet you find CK slowly but surely being there. Like here, yeah? Northumbrian Water Group. So water, electricity, the power station. They own the Halland Marsh Bristol Power Station. Yeah? South of Severn Beach, the boundary with South Gloucestershire. They own Southern Water. It's a private utility company responsible for public wastewater collection and treatment. They could poison the whole of Britain if they wanted. Wales and West Utilities operates across Wales and southwest England. So basically they've got all of England. They have Northern Gas Networks, Seabank Power Station, Northumbrian Water Group. They've got the water, the electricity, UK Rails Group. Yeah, Australia, they own the Australian gas networks. Yeah, it says it's an Australian. They own probably more than 50%. City Power, they own that. If they don't own it, it will go like this. They own a 50%. Hold at least a 50% share in all of these. So they own these. They have more than 50% of all of these. Australian Gas, City Power, Dampier Bunbury Pipeline, Powercore, Australia, to which this asshole is a lackey to, this Italian mafia. If you don't look Irish or British, then you're not an original derived Australian, you're an immigrant Australian, because original Australians all came from Britain and Ireland and Scotland, their forefathers. How they came, I don't want to talk about, because I'm sick of people, that thing. Because actually, most good people, most governments are evil, and they arrest good people and put them in prison. And so to say what people say about Australia, that it used to be a place of prisoners, is bullshit, because it's actually probably a place where good people got sent away by the evil British government. Because if you look at the times when Australia was a prison colony, you will see that, I'm off topic here, but I just want to say this, you will see that actually we had an evil government that turned the privateers into pirates after they were no longer useful. So half of the people were probably privateers, ex-privateers who served their government and made their empire rich, robbing Queen Katarina's galleons of their gold, and later became pirates because the government declared them no more useful and they should be hanged at the noose. That's how privateers became pirates, because they used to be actually servants of Queen Elizabeth or whoever was at the time, in the times of Queen Catarina of Spain. Anyway, this guy is not Australian, he's an Italiano immigrante, mafioso, and for some reason he's really helping China to make a lot of money and to sell Australia by the pound through UK power networks. And this all started, this is having ADHD turns me into a social engineer and deep investigator. If I had time to go further and keep evidence of, put all the dots together and keep evidence of what's behind this, I would. But I think the International Consortium of International Journalists, if they find this interesting, worth investigating, they might find something like the Pandora Papers. But this is a Chinese attempt to control the electricity, water, transport such as rail. I think they bought the rail because it's going to be electric rail. Yeah? Because transport is going to be electric. They've been investing in electric cars, electric transport, yeah? So sustainable transport, sustainable energy factories, and the infrastructure of delivering the sustainable energy. And in the moment, they're just delivering electricity from normal power stations. They're laying the cables, they've got all the copper, China's got all the money, and who's behind it all? The UK power, and Australia and New Zealand and Canada power? CK Infrastructures Holdings, which is owned by who? This fellow, the richest guy in Asia. Chinese, hiding himself behind Hong Kong shell companies, prosecutes the people who kidnap his son through mainland China, so they get death sentence, which was not possible in Hong Kong. The people dig up the grave of his wife, who allegedly died from an overdose, which sounds suspicious to me. And it sounds like the gravediggers were trying to get rid of the only evidence that would be there after a cremation, which is the bits of bone and ashes. Actually, in a Buddhist, I think Chinese Buddhists bury their dead. That's right. I don't know if they cremate and bury the bones or what they do, actually. In Thailand, we don't bury unless Chinese Thais bury. That's right. They make a grave. And Thai people just burn and keep the pot with the ashes. My mum's ashes, I have my mum's ashes and some pieces of bone. So I don't know about that. If it was an attempt to get rid of DNA evidence, or if it was an attempt at a blackmail. But what makes me think it was an attempt hired by him to get rid of evidence that she was not had an accident and a sleeping pill overdose, the wife of the richest man in Asia. And there's absolutely nothing about her in Google on the internet apart from that one thing. You have to directly search overdose. If not, her name didn't even come up. So, nicknamed Superman. Give him to Raymond Reddington's blacklist. Let Raymond Reddington do it. I bet he's doing this in the States as well. I haven't even looked. He'll be doing this much more invisibly. He has to be doing this in the States. He has to be doing this in different companies in the States. Number 37 of billionaires on the Forbes list. Jesus. He's 94. Diversified, self-made. Well, he came from a poor family and got that rich. There's only one way to get that rich, coming from a poor family, and that is illegally and unethically. Residence Hong Kong, citizenship Hong Kong. Born? China. Born in China. Or his parents were born in China. It doesn't say where he's born. It doesn't say where he's born. Took him 5 minutes to invest in Facebook, although it hardly any revenues. He also invested in Siri and Spotify. Lee fled China. Oh, so he was China born. Thank you for the info. He was born in China and fled at age 2. Okay. He fled or he pretended to flee. He worked at a watch factory. Who had been a primary school principal in China but then worked at a watch factory, died. Died when? Before or after? So 2 pieces of news. Well, he fled China at age 12. Oh, and his father died 2 years later. Okay. So he was Chinese born and indoctrinated to the age of 12. And then left China with his father. Flee China with your son. Sounds more like, who was his father? You'd have to investigate if his father was a government sympathizer or a government secret agent or whatever. But definitely Li Ka-Shing, Richard Lee. and Victor Lisa, however they spelled that wrong, the surname, and CK Infrastructure Holdings, as well as all of these, including UK Power Networks, which is, I just stumbled on this because I was reading this in the morning, just an innocent article about Octopus Energy is the answer to a broken, inefficient market. Now that's influential, and Simon Hill saying that it's the best he's seen in the years he was there in England. I said, where is it? And it uses the Kraken software system, which also belongs to CK Holdings. Oh my God. Let's have a look. Okay. Scaly assist. Oh my God. So there you go. From reading an article about Octopus Energy being the answer to a broken, inefficient market, which it isn't, and that data is king, yeah. And then I just took the word Greg Jackson and James Edison, who would become Octopus CTO. So where is he now? Because this guy's disappeared. Where is James Edison? There is no James Edison. There is no James Edison. Let's try this. Because the guy, Simon Hill, can't spell. James Edison, Octopus CTO. Oh, where is he? Oh, where are you, James Edison? Where is James Edison? I have to refresh. It's gone that freeze thing. It's gone and froze on me. Obviously because Google is a... Oh, God. Now that's caused everything to freeze. That's strange, huh? Okay. Look, it's frozen. Well, never mind. I have to end the podcast, the screencast, because I can't even change tabs now. Looks like that search. I'm going to have to switch off my internet as well. So, I didn't find anything after I stopped the computer from freezing, except you can see Octopus Energy published again, their CTO and founder James Edison said blah blah. But you see it also says Kraken is Octopus Energy's proprietary technology, and we noticed that the CK Holdings business owns Kraken as well. Kraken and the word octopus, they're two different languages. There's two different words for an octopus or a squid or an octopod. Yeah? The words octopus and Kraken are the English and Netherlands words, and other words. In German it's the Kraker. Yeah? And so does this mean that this Chinese Triad family wished to use an 8-pointed approach, and that's why they chose the word octopus and Kraken for two of their shell companies to hide their activities with through hundreds of companies, so you don't see it's all the same company and the same person doing the same misdeeds, and that they're trying to dominate all sectors of the energy industry in all the Western world. So that's why Kraken and octopus have the same meaning within their respective CK Holdings owned shell company names or sub-company names. They seem to be going for gas, wind power, electricity, electrified rail, solar energy, power stations, wind farms, and so on, as well as administrating the logistics of it all and the repair and the laying of the cables, and of course China putting its let's listen in on Great Britain, New Zealand, Australia, Canada and so on. Is China going to own the Western countries Because these Chinese-controlled Western energy companies are owning the West. They now own Great Britain's energy infrastructure, and pretty soon they're going to own every power station, because the British power stations burn coal, or the ones these people are building, the Chinese Triad. Yeah. But who is James Edison? Well, I have one more slide to show you. This here is James Edison. So there you have James Edison and Greg Jackson as well. And these are amongst the rest of the faces you see. The Western faces behind the Chinese Triad family, richest man in Asia and his two sons, who are owning British Energy and Canadian and other countries. So, last notes from a paranoid solo social engineer and investigator and loony who has ADHD and tends to see things within things and jump bunny hop from one place to the other, find a jigsaw, show you the jigsaw pieces and explain the connections, but with ADHD I can't put it all together into one affidavit file of evidence. And so I'm leaving this, and I'm going to share a link with the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists and send one to the ministries involved of the countries that are being owned by this triad of the Ka-Shing family, of the father and the two sons, and their unfortunately deceased mother, who apparently passed away from an overdose at home. Somebody so rich didn't have any bodyguards and nurses and people watching, or what? Sounds highly suspicious to me. I would throw this over to the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, find out about two things to do with that. So here we have him, the sad guru of Chinese energy management and world global domination through owning the energy of the Western world as well as the Eastern world. Ka-Shing, Kazam. So you can see quite easily how the Shing family are controlling the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong and mainland China through accessing and controlling all the various stages of the energy businesses and renewable energy businesses. Take over the world. Please visit the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists to read real news, because that's about probably one of the only places you're going to find it these days.